How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fastidious. Welcome to my channel. Well, here it is, the deep dive into Elowyn and Anai. Plus, as a bonus, I got carried away. We are going to do a full play test of those two heroes, and then I'm going to do a comparison playtest where we substitute Setram for Anai, and we can see how she really performs. Spoiler alert, I was surprised. Maybe not a spoiler, I'm keeping it vague. But here you go, we are on the Fastidious test server. You're going to want to watch this, guys. It's all the information you need for this weekend's banner. You can see here, Fastidious, and we have this fantastic banner coming with the two ladies of the hour. We have the Esotericist healer, I think definitively the best healer in the game, not just for her healing, but her amazing utility in the forms of her cleanse, her debuff dispel, as well as the amazing global rage regeneration. And we have a very new, unique hero. Very new indeed. She's coming out this weekend, and her name is Anai. She's an infernal single-target mage. She does single-target magic damage. She seems like a great guild boss unit. Let's see how she performs. First, we'll start off with a deep dive into those two characters. If you want deep dives on the epic heroes, I will do full kit breakdowns tomorrow, but today is all about the legendaries. It's all about Elowyn, it's all about Anai, full kit breakdowns, full hero showcases, play testing. Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
All right, guys, let's dive deep into these legendary heroes. Full kit breakdown, starting with Elowyn. She is some kind of wood nymph, queen of the forest. You can see the heart of the forest and the most sacred healer. The most sacred healer indeed. She also revitalizes allies, dispelling debuffs while preserving life. The dispel, the heals, and of course, the rage regeneration, the global rage regeneration. She is fantastic. Elowyn is an esotericist healer. It's worth noting, to be an amazing healer in Watcher Realms, you need to do more than heal, and boy does she do it. So, no talent on Elowyn, so we don't have to talk about that. Let's go straight into the base stats. Elowyn has mighty fine base stats. Look at that, insanely hurt. She's an attack-based healer, so her heals scale off of the main stat that her healing modifier scales off of is her attack. Super high attack, 5711. A good build can easily get over 20k attack. That's very, very strong. Slightly high attack interval at 3 seconds. That's because she does multi-target heals, not single-target heals. Still very good. Low cost, 16 cost. You love to see that. She's really tremendous. A nice rage regen auto at 15. The standard for many units is 14, so 15 is a welcome addition. For those who don't know, rage regen auto is how much rage you automatically generate per second. So every second she will get 15 rage. She's a great hero. Let's get into it. Main basic attack here. Grants attack-based healing. Again, this is restores HP based on the target max HP and the caster's attack, so it's scaling off of her main stat, attack, to 3 allies in range. So not a full AoE, but a nice multi-target. You can level this up to plus 20% increase to the healing multiplier. We do not know what that multiplier is, but it's certainly strong on Elowyn. Let's go into the ultimate. This is when it starts getting good. Grace of Nature, very expensive, as is typical for an esotericist hero, dispels all debuffs for all allies in range and heals them per second with a 40% healing multiplier for 10 seconds. So you're gonna get 10 instances of this healing multiplier, but it gets a lot better when you skill her up. So the initial rage is gonna go up by 200, the skill cost is gonna go down by 200, so it's only 1,000. Those healing multipliers are gonna go up by 60%. So you're gonna get 60% of the healing multiplier. Scaling off of that super high base attack, you build some nice attack on her. That's going to trigger, if once you ever skilled up, you probably will skill her up. She's a tremendous hero, a top 4 hero in the entire game. You get 10 instances of that, right? So it's going to be 600% of the healing multiplier. Very, very good, and it's all allies in range. This is a proper AoE. Now for a very fun feature here, she's got Elf of the Forest. This has a 40-second cooldown. You can get it down to 30 seconds, so twice a minute. She's going to summon a Wood Elf that heals super strong heals to surrounding allies every half a second with a 100% healing multiplier for 10 seconds. So half second over 10 seconds, you're getting 20 instances, so it's a 2,000% heal of the healing multiplier. Only one Wood Elf can be present on the field at any given time. Two important things with the Wood Elf: it does not need to be placed in her range. It's actually a melee unit, a ground unit, unlike a platform unit like Elowyn is, so you can place it anywhere on the map. The Wood Elf's in the middle with 8 tiles surrounding him. He's in the center of a 3x3 square. and the heals are extremely potent. This can kind of give Elowyn an extra AoE ability and an extra boost to her range, because this can be healing people well outside her range. This is a skill that I think is slept on because so much of her kit is already overpowered that people sleep on this, but it's insanely strong, as you will see. We go here, Nature's Favor restores rage every 5 seconds for all allies equal to 1% of the rage cap. This is so on a 5-second repeat, you're going to get 1% of the rage cap to all allies that is not within range. That is a global rage regeneration boost. It gets way better though when you skill her up, and if you get her, you can do what I did, which is what I suggest you do. If you might not need the boosted healing, everyone will need this. So skill this up. If you have to use crystals, use crystals. You want to get this all the way to level 5, because at level 5, the rage restoration will happen every 3 seconds, and instead of being 1%, it will be 3%. So basically you're getting 1% per second. It's triggering every 3 seconds. Every 30 seconds, you're getting 30% rage, right? So 60% rage a minute. That is just ridiculous. It does scale off of the target's rage cap, right? It's a percentage-based thing. It's not a flat value. So someone with a really, really high rage cap, if you're thinking like Comet or Boreas or something, they will benefit far more from this than someone with a very low rage cap, like Lightlock or like Wrath. But it still helps everyone and is a fully global boost. All allies anywhere deployed on the map, does not need to be in her range. This is as good as it gets, guys. This is just unbelievably strong. Not too much more to say about Elowyn and her skills. She's worth all the hype. She's a top 4 hero inside the entire game. Let's do Awakenings. I have something very interesting that we researched just today. A shout out to Lucifer and Pink Jesus for helping me research this. So people were wondering and asking me, does her A1 affect everybody or just her? I postulated, I hypothesized it would just be her, and we have since confirmed it is just her. So after using Grace of Nature, that is her ultimate, reduces damage taken by 20% for 10 seconds. If you look at her ultimate, Grace of Nature, this is everyone in her range, right? And if we look at max details, she's got that same range like mid-on. She's got a tile to either side, 3 tiles behind her, and then a 2x3 tile rectangle, 2 tiles by 3 tiles rectangle in front of her, right? So we were wondering, does that damage mitigation apply to everyone in range? And I thought, no, it probably, based on this phrasing, is just her, and we have confirmed through testing it is just her. So it's not that exciting. I mean, you're not really so often dealing with Elowyn about to die, so this damage mitigation, this damage reduction, is not so important for her. It's nice, but it's very much just like a fun luxury bonus. It doesn't transform her kit in any big way. Plus 300 attack, that's really nice. That's going to bring her base attack over 6,000, so it gets even easier to build crazy amounts of attack on her and get even meatier heals. Let's go here. Each basic attack launches a 20% chance to dispel debuffs from all allies. That's crazy, right? I wish it was higher. So I do think all her awakenings are fairly underpowered, probably because the hero itself is so overpowered. But basically, she's one of only 2 heroes in the whole game, or actually 3. Someone corrected me. Dasami also has an AoE dispel. Very rare hero though, right? Chaotic exclusive, and in general, a much worse healer than Elowyn. Sami's only ever going to function properly unless you're just using it for Dispel and you don't have Minon or Elowyn. She's only going to function in chaotic comps, right? Chaos team comps. But here, not just getting it from her ultimate, that AoE Dispel everybody in range, but now when she lands that basic attack, that 3-hitter multi-target basic attack, you've got a 1 in 5 chance to dispel debuffs from allies as well. So it's pretty solid. 20% isn't that much, but you get her at some nice speed with that 3-second base interval. You can easily get her to like 1.8, 1.9 attack interval once you build some attack speed on her. You know, that 1 in 5, it will be hitting, but she's also going to have her ult coming a lot because that rage boost, she also gives it to herself. So this is kind of, again, just a luxury. It's not so needed. Rage regen auto +1, very nice. So she was already at 15, now it's at 16. So every second she generates 16 rage for herself. And finally, the A5, obtain a Wood Elf immediately after using Grace of Nature. This is nice. If you go back, the Wood Elf, if we go here, is on a 40-second cooldown. When you skill it up, it's a 30-second cooldown. He lasts for 10 seconds, so basically 10-second uptime, 20-second downtime, or excuse me, 10-second uptime, 30-second downtime. I used to think it was 20 seconds, but actually it goes 10 seconds, full 30 seconds, 10 seconds, full 30 seconds. It doesn't do an overlap. However, now you'll get him even faster because this will come up pretty quick. Grace of Nature, you can time it out well. The second you trigger this, you get the Wood Elf. It's great, but it is just kind of like a healing boost, and for a lot of content, it's just a luxury again. So what I'm going to advise you guys to do, if you don't have Elowyn, I would seriously consider going very, very, very hard to get her. All the hype is worth it. If you're in the mid-game, early, mid-game, even into early, late game, she will help you jump up in progression and so much content. And then if you're in the late and end game, she might be that final piece that gets you that 121, that gets you from hard Void Rift to Nightmare Void Rift. When I got her, I'd done all gear raids 21 except for 121. She made from 120 to 121 a huge, easy jump, or huge jump, a nice small jump as opposed to the giant chasm it felt like before. I was already clearing Nightmare Void Rift, but she made it a heck of a lot easier. So she's going to have a place on everyone's account, and she's the kind of hero that's evergreen. I do not see her getting power crept. They would have to nerf her for her to stop being good. It doesn't matter what new content they throw at us. As you might have just seen from Immortal Codex, she was tremendous for Phase 2 and for Phase 3. She is triple S tier. Elowyn is just amazing. But what I'd say is if you don't have her, you're going to want her. If you do have her, these awakenings are not necessary. No content exists that you can't do with a normal Elowyn, a base A0 Elowyn, but that you need awakenings for. They're luxury, so you don't have to feel bad if you get dupes, but I wouldn't pull on her 10x just for that. For perspective, I won't pull because I already have her A0. I don't care about getting her A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Not important to me. So why else won't I be pulling? Well, that's because the other hero is Anai. Please stick around until after I do this full breakdown because I'm telling you, you're going to want to see the playtests. We'll do a deep dive into her kit, her aesthetic, all that good stuff right now. But I have to say, when I went over this yesterday, or actually technically early this morning, maybe you saw my video already, otherwise I would say check it out. But she reads pretty good. I thought she was going to have a crazy uptime, very short downtime between ults. I thought she'd be spamming burns left and right. I thought it would scale very nicely. I thought she'd empower your other burn heroes. I thought it would be a ton of damage. I'll read it through you right now. I'll talk you through why it doesn't work out that way, and then we're actually going to see it in action, and it really doesn't work out that way. That's all I can really say. Let's fully understand her kit first, then we'll do awakenings, and then we'll head into battle. So her talent, basic attack has a 20% chance of inflicting burning on the target. The hero deals 15% more damage to targets inflicted with burn. Her whole kit is built around burn. Also, I should say, it says, beware, Anai will relentlessly incinerate every beautiful thing in the world, subjecting every life form to torment and suffering. That's, some very verbose language there. She looks kind of cool. Again, she's giving me epic. She's nice, but she doesn't look so mind-blowing. Maybe we've just been spoiled by some of the legendaries that have been added to the game. But that talent, already it's cueing you to the fact that she's all about burning. If you see here, she's got a standard burning, so that's a 20% magic damage per second with the 5-second interval, that the duration, I should say, lasts for 5 seconds. So it's going to tick every second. Basically, get 5 ticks. It comes out to 100%. She can spam out a ton of burning, but it was not what I expected. So how does she get that burning out? Well, she's got her basic attack here, normal single target attack, 100% magic damage, 120% when skilled up. But of course, each one has a 20% chance of inflicting burning. 1 in 5 isn't that much. Let's look at hero stats now so you can get a sense. She's got a standard base attack interval. This is what I would call the average attack interval of 2.6 seconds, the same as someone like Sela 2, someone like Nocturne. She's got the standard rage regen auto of 14, so 1 less than Elowyn. And then she's got pretty nice base stats. For single target, this is good. 45.97, that's some nice attack. All in all, it reads well, but you see with that 2.6 second interval, it's not like you're going to get her down to 1 second, right? And you only have a 1 in 5 chance of this triggering, so you're probably going to get her somewhere about, let's do some math here, maybe you could get her like a 1.5 second interval. All the different builds I tried, I had her between 1.3 and 1.5. You could get her to like 1.2, but that's a very, very speedy build. Even getting her to 1.3, I had built, I believe, like 425 attack speed additional, so she was over 525, or right about 525 attack speed. So most people, I think, will build her in this like 1.3 to 1.6 range. Let's say you build her at 1.5, right? So every 10 attacks, that would take 15 seconds. So on average, it will happen 1 in 5 times. So every 15 seconds, you think you'll add 2 burnings, right? And they each last for 5 seconds. Things don't stack like crazy. The way you think they might stack like crazy is from Ember of Sorrow. This is why I was so excited about her. If you saw me in my last video, I said I needed to test her first. I have since tested her, and I'm far less excited. So the skill cost here goes down to 500. That is pretty rapid, right? It's going to trigger automatically when there are enemies in range, increasing damage by 20%. This goes up to 40% and then deals 25% damage to one target in range. So she's very single target focused 4 times and inflicting 4 stacks of burning. So I'm thinking guild boss, right? She's going to hit the guild boss, quadruple hitter, each one putting up a stack. You've got 4 stacks of burning, but if we get into the passive, that synergizes very nicely. Also with the talent, heroes dealing 15% more damage to targets inflicted with burning. This is going to ensure a lot of burning. And then this is where I got very excited. The last sentence of the ultimate, and this is where testing proved me to be disappointed. So it says, during the effect, continuously refreshes every burning inflicted by the hero. So while the ultimate is live, instead of the burnings ticking down like 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds on those 4 burnings, it will just keep going back up to 5 seconds. That's going to last for 10 seconds, right? And then by the time the 10 seconds go off, there'll be 5 seconds left on each one, and then they will finally turn down. So basically, those 4 burnings she puts on should last for 15 seconds. So immediately after the trigger, she will already be generating more rage. That the trigger and the duration of the ultimate will last 10 seconds, then they will keep ticking for 5 more seconds. In that interval, she'll be building more rage. I figured pretty quickly with her low rage costs, the ultimate cost, and as you see, the rage regen she gets from her next passive, I was thinking you put her with a rage regenerator like Elowyn, as you're going to see. I thought within several seconds she'd have her ult ready again. And I even tried that super high attack speed build with rage regen. That was not the case, right? I actually found, and you'll see it right now, I'll talk you through it. It took on average between 16 and 17 seconds between one ult ending. So not even when it was triggered, from it ending to the next ult being ready. So that's a lot of downtime where the burnings expire. That's like, so if you do it that way, right? Once it ends, you have 5 more seconds on average for those burnings to tick off normally. And if it's 16 seconds with the super high attack speed build and the rage regen build, there's still 11 seconds that all those burnings fall off. And then you're only relying on her getting burning out from the basic attack with the 20% chance. So I really thought it was going to be something like it goes for 10 seconds, ticks off for 5 seconds, and then within the next 5 seconds, she's ready with her ult again. You will see that's not what this looks like. Let's go to Flame of Rage. Every time the burning inflicted by the hero deals damage, there's a 10% chance to generate 0.8% rage. So I got really excited about this. I thought she would be stacking burnings over and over because these things would basically never tick off, because by the time those 5 seconds were up, she'd put more on. You're getting 15% trigger chance, but from minimum the 4 burning she's putting out, maybe she gets a couple more from the basic attacks. So I thought she'd be getting tons and tons of extra generation to her rage. Tick, 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 a percent here, a percent here, a percent here, a percent here when it's skilled up. That is not how it shook out. And I'll tell you why, because 10% chance is not high enough, and the 20% chance to land from basic is not high enough, and quite frankly, the 1% rage regen is not high enough. You'll see this in a second, but the downtime in between ultimates lasts for way too long, and the damage is not there. Because if we look here, it's a very simple basic. The ultimate's just going to deal 25% damage to target in range 4 times. It's only an extra 100% damage plus the burning. Burning itself is good, but without tremendous amounts of stack, without any other damage in the kit, it's not cutting it, and you will see it's not cutting it. Finally, another reason I thought she'd be great, for every 1 burning on the target, and this is not burnings placed by her, I should say, guys, this here, every time the burning inflicted by the hero deals damage. So this doesn't use burnings if you put out burning from Hex or Seal It 2 or Arrogance or something like that, right? This only, maybe using Aurum, this only counts the burnings by her. So ideally you would want as many burnings stacking from her as possible. So I was thinking you'd have at least 6 or 7 or 8. That's not how it happened. The most we were ever getting was 5. But then here you get this buff. It can stack up to 7 times, and this can be burnings from her or from any other hero. It doesn't matter who applied the burning to the target. You are going to get an increase in attack 3% per stack, assuming you're getting the 7 stacks, which if you do run a burn team, you will have 7 stacks most of the time. You will get or 7 burnings minimum most of the time, so you will get the full 7 stacks. There'll be 3% attack when skilled up, so 21% attack boost. Sounded really nice. She has a good base attack for a single target mage. And then crit damage, 3% goes up to 5%, stacking 7 times, 35%. I thought it'd be meaty. Let's get into it and show it. First, we'll do Awakenings. Also, sorry if I'm throwing so many numbers at you, but it's a fairly complicated kit. But the way it shakes out, it's not very complicated to be able to look at the numbers and be disappointed. Let's go to the Awakenings. I think this is what it might take to make her usable. You need her A1, I think. I have not A1'd her yet. If you want to see that, I'll make a totally separate guide on her at A1. Unfortunately, I only have one copy of her, so if I use my Awakening stones to bring her A1, then I don't have an A0 copy to use. So if I'm going to make her A1, that will have to be, after this video, I will have to make her A1 and do a totally separate thing, because it's not like I can take the Awakening away. So let me know in the comments if you do want to see that. I do think A1 is the place where she's got a chance to shine. Targets inflicted with burning by the hero also receive magic res reduction. Doesn't matter how many stacks. As long as she puts, the target is currently suffering from a burning applied by Anai, they will get a 15% magic res reduction. This is quite strong because it's basically 15% more damage from so-and-so. It can be variable, but basically the resistances, so think of the defense, the magic version of defense is magic resistance, that's 15% lower, so your heroes are going to start doing more damage because there's a lower resistant threshold to clear. This is a different debuff than magic vulnerability, so if you're using Pyros or Aeon or Mari, it can stack, right? Because it's only when it's the same debuff that they don't stack. Because it's different, it's like, all right, that's a lot more damage, but it is only 15%. I mean, that's good, but if you use Greed, it's like the same kind of thing, a single target version here, and it takes Awaken 1 to get it, but if you are running a lot of magic damage dealers or also a lot of burn damage dealers, so Arrogance does physical damage, right, but his magic damage is what comes from his burns, right, so his burns do magic damage, they could benefit. To be seen if that 15% is enough. So if you want, I can test that out for you. I can test her out with Awakenings, but I think this could only do so much because you're going to see the damage she does herself is not that great. We go to A2. This is quite nice. This is going to be 300 attack, so she's going to be getting up towards 5,000 base attack. A3, every time the burning on the target deals damage, the hero gains 1% damage increase up to 30%. When reaching full stacks, the damage increase effect lasts for 10 seconds and will reset after the duration ends. So if she gets a lot of stacks out, you can get a lot of ticks pretty quickly every second. You could get up to 30 stacks really quickly. When you max out, you have the 30% damage increase, but after 10 seconds, it goes away. Even if this was permanent, you're going to see, I don't think her damage is high enough, at least not without a perfectly tuned and meta build, or not just for her, but for your whole team composition. I just don't think 30%, even if it was permanent, would be enough to make her damage relevant, as you're going to see. A4 here, crit rate plus 8%. Sure, fine. The chance of basic attack applying burning increases by 10%. Like I said, it was at 20% is from her talent. That's pretty low. 30% better. Is it that much better? It's 50% better than it was before, right? It went from 20% to 30%. If it went from 20% to 50%, then we might be cooking. Then, you know, with a decent attack speed, she could be placing lots of extra burns from her basic attack. 30%, I don't know. I can test it out at A5 if you guys want. I don't think it's going to cut it. And the duration of burning inflicted by the hero increases by 2 seconds. This is where we could start seeing a difference, right? So now they're going to last for 7 seconds. This is the same thing as like what Arrogance has. He has a unique burning that lasts for 7 seconds. The duration then, by being 2 seconds longer, there's going to be less downtime between her burns expiring and her ult coming back up to apply more burns. But again, I can test this out if you guys want, but I question if that's going to be enough damage to make her viable. The real way I can see her being used is if you got her A1 and then maybe eventually you got her A5, that she could kind of do some damage herself. The damage is not great, but she could be empowering all your other magic damage dealers and your burn damage dealers. That's kind of what I envision. So there you go. That is the full kit breakdown. Let's head into the guild boss. Let's try them out together. Then we're going to take Anai out. We're going to put the exact same gear onto Setram, try with Setram, and then we're going to run that Setram comp, but without Elowyn. So then you can have a source. So you'll have a source of comparison, Anai versus Setram, and then we'll take out Elowyn and put in Vortex. So you'll see Elowyn, the goddess of rage regenerating healers, compared to Vortex, a good healer, but a normal healer without rage regen. You'll have some good sources of comparison. Let's get into it. All right, guys, here's the squad. This is going to be the bones of our main squad. We'll just be swapping out one hero here and there. So first, this will be the team. Then we'll bring Setram in for Anai, and then we'll bring Vortex in for Elowyn. Right now, I'm going to show you the build on Anai and the build on Elowyn. We'll do our battles, everything. Setram doesn't matter because you will get exactly the same gear as Anai. And then at the end, if you want to stick around, I'll show you the builds of all the other heroes. But essentially, the team makes pretty easy sense. We've got a full Infernal team on top. Then we've got kind of a mini Nightmare team down here. So we will use Wrath and we will use Arrogance. What's his name? Greed and Folka are just here to make sure we get that buff. We'll put them down, then pick them up. And then Elowyn's going to be our healer, and then our amazing Rage Regeneration. She'll also have some Dispel for the burns that get put out by the guild boss. She's so good for this fight. What I will say is the reason we're bringing Arrogance and Wrath and Hex and Sealatu along with Anai is we want to get as many burns onto the guild boss as possible, and all those are burn heroes. So let me quickly show you now Anai's build. The gear on, shout out to Pink Jesus, because we were working on this together to, kind of clean up this test server account so I can get better gear on it. Moonton also should be sending me more gear in the mail for this test server account because it's hard to farm as much as possible from a laptop. But as you can see here, we went Broken Set, we went Warlord. We ignored crit fairly decently because most of the damage from burning, it's not like burns can crit. We do want some semblance of crit, some semblance of crit damage, but to get her proper use, you needed to get that super high attack speed. Like I told you, over 420 additional, so she's gonna be at 522 attack speed. And I also wanted some rage regen on her. We got the attack nice and high. As you can see, she's just over 17,000 attack. With that high attack speed, most people aren't going to go much higher than this. You're able to cut her attack interval in half, so it goes down from 2.6 seconds to 1.3 seconds. And we are really doing this to try to get as many opportunities as possible to land those extra burns from the basic attack that has the 20% chance to land those burns. You'll also see with Rage Regen, we got it at 46.5%. I do think this is about as good a build as a normal person could do. Obviously, with much better gear, we could have gone this hard into attack speed and Rage Regen and still got some other extra crit and crit damage stats. But for now, I think this is a very serviceable build, and I think it's quite akin to what a lot of people would actually be able to do. She's at 69 BP, and if we go to Artifact, we were actually running her in a Spellcaster Echo. I tried her in Tear of Twilight, considered the best in slot, but really you need that ult coming as much as possible. So for that reason, we brought Spellcaster's Echo. I will say this only saw about a 1.5 to 2 second improvement between the downtime, so reducing the downtime between burns falling off and the ult coming up. But it was an improvement, so we chose to go that route. Let's then go to Elowyn. Elowyn's in a fairly standard build. You see, it's very easy to build her with loads of attack. She's at almost 21k attack. It's because of that super high base attack. Both these heroes, by the way, are A0. We went Broken Set. We went Salvation. All in all, we got a decent attack speed, not crazy. So she got down 0.9 seconds. So she went from 3-second attack interval to 2.1. We built 140 additional attack speed, so that brought her up to 240. Heal effect is very nice at 112. And yeah, kind of ignored Rage Regen percentage. Unfortunately, the Pantheon is not built out on this account. I'm also speaking with the devs about that to see if we could build that out a bit, because I don't have time to farm faction trials every single day on a whole separate account. But we're working on it. But you can see because of that, we leaned decently into attack speed, and we're making up for it with very juicy heals. But it doesn't matter too much because this has no contingency. The main thing she's here for is to keep everyone alive, which she does very comfortably, and then to provide the amazing Nature's Favor, as you're going to see in our final comparison when we take Elowyn out. So you can see the amazing stuff she was actually doing the whole time. All right, let's hop into battle. I'm going to be fairly conservative with my triggers. The only special thing you will see me do, I'm only going to do Dolores for the shields. I'll do her just once per shield at the shield. Same thing with Hex and Sealatu, stuff like that. Pyros, I will do double triggers before first shield and before third shield. Before second shield, we would go for the triple trigger, which I'm going to do. This will all make sense when you see it. The reason I brought my head up over here is so I'm not in the way of the quick cast. I've made that mistake before. But the reason we'll do the triple trigger is so you can see that we are able to do it with Elowyn, but in the final test, when we take Elowyn out, no chance in heck. And then, yeah, everyone else just bringing burning, damage, typical stuff. Like I said, you can stick to the very end of the video. I'll show you the builds of the other heroes, but for now, the only ones that matter are Elowyn, Anai, and then, of course, Setram when he comes in, but he will get exactly the same gear as Anai. So let's hop into battle. I'll do like the first minute and a half together, and then we will 5 or 6x speed through the end, and I'll check in so we can look at damage. But you'll see. Maybe if you want to pause the video right now and let me know how much damage you think she'll get in this account with, the mediocre gear or decent but not great gear I have on the test server, let me know. But I'm curious how surprised people will be. All right, guys, so let's get our placements down. There goes Pyros. There goes Anai. Here comes Elowyn. Now let's try to, as soon as possible, get our Infernals down so they're ready with Pyros. Now we can get our Nightmares, keeping an eye on Pyros. We can get Wrath. And then very quickly, we'll take a break just to trigger Pyros. You see I raised my head so you can see the quick cast. Like I said, not making that mistake again. Plays Volca Picker up. This is just to get the max buff. Now pick up Greed, and then here comes Dolores. So we're off to the races. We're going to be fairly conservative holding ults. You see we did the early one on Pyros. Everything else will time out nicely. You'll actually get to see the Pyros o'clock in action as well when it's time for the shield. So that will be, we're going to trigger Pyros, and then we, like for the next one, we got to make sure that we triggered Sela 2 and Hex before he reaches about here. And also a good moment to keep an eye on Anai. You see she just triggered her ultimate. So keep an eye on the time when her ultimate expires, and then we'll count the downtime until the ultimate's ready again. So let's one exit here. So it's at 4:18. We'll see when it's ready again. Let's wait. All right, here's the meteorite impact. Keep an eye on Anai as well. All right, so Pyros o'clock. Let's go. And let's see, she's about to be ready. So I said 4:18. She is ready at, there she goes. So she was ready at 4:02, or about 4:01. So it took about 17 seconds of downtime is what we had. That is way too much. When I read her kit, I was thinking we might be dealing with 5 seconds of downtime. But you can see when she does go off, we get tons and tons of burn stacks. It's very nice. Here's the Wood Elf. You can just see how juicy these heals are. I'll just place it over here so you can see on Arrogance. Look at those heals. Juiced up. 11k, 12k. Really good stuff. Really, oh, I guess maybe it's the 6k. Maybe the other ones are coming from Arrogance's hits. But there you go, 6k, 7k. Really good stuff from the Wood Elf. Let's get ready. We're going to go for the double trigger here with Pyros so you guys can see that in action. So this is only going to be possible. The reason I'm highlighting this right now is because this won't be possible without Elowyn. He won't get the Rage Regen fast enough back. We can 2x it again now, and we're going to go fairly conservative here with everyone except for Pyros. We'll just hold and hold and hold. We could go double Dolores trigger, but there is variability, even though she's A5, if she's going to get the extra rage boost after her previous ultimate ends. So just for consistency with all these runs, we're not going to get aggressive with it, but we will get aggressive with Pyros right here just so I can demonstrate. Get ready to trigger. But yeah, the main things to note are the Pyros triggers, because that's really on the back of Elowyn, and then of course how long that downtime was between Anai's ults. But when it happens, right? Look how many burns we got out. That's fantastic. All right, let's 2x it here, keeping an eye on Pyros. So he's pretty low, but you'll see he'll get it back fairly quickly. We can trigger these guys now. So no Pyros o'clock this time, but you'll see even with this imperfect team, he's going to be ready fairly quickly, and you'll see how long it's going to take the other way without Elowyn. So we can trigger here. Should be just enough to take that shield down. Lovely. There's the big Pyros hit. We got it. All right, I'll fast forward through this next part until the third shield, because that's going to be of note. We are getting a good sense now. The burns are coming, but they're not coming as frequently as we'd like. We'd like so many stacks. It's just not possible with so much downtime between the ults. And you can see Pyros, that wasn't perfect because, you know, he's not in the greatest Rage Regen build ever. It's solid, but without the Pantheon, we're hurt. But what he was just able to do, you'll see, will be impossible without Elowyn. And that's just showing you how potent her global boost is. Let's get another little heals from the Wood Elf. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys, coming up on the third shield here. Let's see how much damage can we even take it down. So let's wait. We'll do trigger Pyros right at the end. We'll do another Pyros o'clock. So trigger, get it before 2 o'clock. Let's wait. Trigger, trigger, trigger. Let's get Elowyn. Let's get Elowyn's Wood Elf just to show it off. And let's see, how can we do? Can we take down this third shield? Look at all those burns. Is it going to be enough? Are all those burns going to be enough? Is Anai going to do the damage? It's close, but alas, it is not enough. It's almost like I knew it wouldn't be enough. There you go. We got wiped. We'll just take Hex out now so we can end the fight. And let's see how we did. So that's how we did with Anai. And is the gear amazing? No. But is the gear about as good, if not better, than 90% of people's gear? Probably, unless you've been playing the game for very long. And this is what we were able to accomplish with a super meta team and Anai. Right, so let's look at the stats here. Anai is doing a staggering 6.8 million. So her herself, she is not doing that much damage. You can see Sela 2, Arrogance, and Hex leading the way. You know, there's some variability here. They all don't have perfect gear at all, so don't be upset that Sela 2 is doing a bit less or Hex is doing a bit more. You know, it is what it is, but where we're really getting hurt is going to be with Anai. She's just not bringing the damage. It's just not doing the trick. At A1, could she empower these two magic damage dealers as well as Arrogance with the magic damage from his burn? Potentially. Could that be enough to make up for how big a drop-off this is from Setram or Nocturne or some other infernal DPS? I do not think so. I really don't. Like I said, if you guys want to see her at A1 or at A5, just let me know. But you can see this is beyond lackluster. It really, really, really is. You can criticize the gear, but this gear is about what people's gear looks like. When my gear is better, I'm super happy to juice it up. but I mean, if it was going to be good, we would feel that it was going to be good. I tested this on my Discord with like 7, 8, 9 people watching, coming in and out of the stream, and we were all supremely disappointed by this number. So what we're going to do now, let's complete it. So the number to beat is 11.175, and then the numbers to remember are 6.8 for Anai, because we're going to pair that to Setram, and then all the other damage dealers, the main ones, falling between 18.4 and 20.5. So we'll end this run here. We're going to go on to Setram. We're just going to take Anai out, put Setram in, and we're going to immediately just exactly swap the gear. It's not perfect for Setram either, right? Setram, you want at least 70% crit on him. But let's see how we do. It is a one Setram. I'll say the person that had the test server account before me did do that, and I don't have another Setram I could build out. But you know, we'll still be able to ballpark, and the actual damage, we'll be able to get the shields down faster. But the boost he only does is going to be him and 2 other allies are getting a boost against the shields. That won't count as DPS against the boss. The only extra DPS will come from the shields having fallen faster. Let's go to gear here. We'll just do a quick swap. Where is Anai? There she is, all the way down there. Let's click her. So this is going to be the build on Setram. You can see exact same attack speed, 49% crit. There you go. Let's check the attack a bit lower at 18.5. Actually, excuse me, a bit higher at 18.5. She was at, what, 17 point something. You can see he's got slightly higher base attack. Attack interval is a bit higher because he has a higher base attack interval, and the exact same rage regen auto, same rage regen percentage that we built on her. For attack, I tested it, and because the shield's not up for that long and we don't really care so much about his damage, we really want to get the shield down and see if we can't break the 3rd shield. I went Spirit Siphon. You could also go for the signature, but I think Spirit Siphon is a good bet here. So let's head into battle and do the exact same thing. I'll just get it up and running, and I'll probably check in for the 3rd shield, and we'll see if we can actually beat that. So I'll talk you through the deployments, and then we'll get going. So here comes Setram. We can put Hex right here. We can put Pyros right here. We can put, let's do Seal-A-2 first. Let's do Arrogance. Let's do Wrath. Wrath. Let's do Elowyn. Now let's wait for Pyros. We'll trigger him right away. Okay, now we can do our 2 quick placement nightmares just to get the buff. For anyone that's new, if you didn't know, you can place nightmare units, pick them up, and you'll still get that buff. See, plus 35% attack. Very good to know. And let's get Dolores down. All right, off to the races. I'll check back in before the 3rd shield. All right, guys, about time for the 3rd shield. I will say I'm going to trigger Setram about here, so right when the shield comes up is when he finishes the load-up animation. He actually starts hitting, so let's wait for it. Let's go. Let's get our little Pyros o'clock going. Here we go. Let's wait. Chuck, 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 chuck. And let's see how we do. Can we actually take the shield down this time? So bombs away for Setram. Let's go, and it's looking a lot better, isn't it? It's looking a heck of a lot better, isn't it, guys? Isn't it? You know, not exactly an apples-to-apples comparison, but it is exactly the same gear, and it's not even close. It's so much better. You'll see Setram's damage is so much better, and now we survive a whole other shield because we did a much better job. She really is completely outclassed. If you want, I can do other videos with comparisons with Nocturne, or maybe we could even try with Amani. I don't know. I feel like Amani would definitely outdamage her. I think she stinks. If you're watching, I have many suggestions I could make that I think would lead to a pretty easy rework of her, but as it stands right now, I just don't think she's that good. We'll let this battle, finish up. That wasn't even a perfectly optimal use of Dolores there. I definitely rushed it, but you know, it is what it is. Let's trigger. Let's trigger. We can wait. Let's see if we get Dolores back by the last 15 seconds. I don't know if we will. It's gonna be close. You can see it's really gonna be nice. All right, let's trigger. Let's trigger. So there's 15 seconds for their ults. Dolores will only be for like the last moment. So imperfect Dolores timing there too, but obviously we got the 3rd shield down, and you're gonna see the damage is like, it's insane. Anai was a tremendous disappointment. Yeah, like I said, at one point there were like 9 other guys on the call, and we were all pretty shocked by how lame she was. Everyone was excited going into this testing, and not even close. Look at that. We almost 20K'd it. With this gear, if you want to stick around to see the builds at the end, 20K with this gear is amazing. And that's on the backs of all the amazing heroes and none of them being Anai. Look at that. 30.1 mil for Sealatu, 29.7 for Hex, 27.4. So before they were all between like 18.5 and 20.5. They're doing more damage now because they're lasting longer because we got the third shield down, which Setram's able to help with. Other heroes could help with. Anai did not help with that terrible damage. Anai was at 6.8. Setram is way higher at 12.2, like about 5.5 million higher. And even Wrath, now that he lasts the whole battle, is doing way more damage than Anai, right? Pyros almost did as much damage as Anai. The damage is not there. Could A1 help? Would it help? Yes. Would it help enough? I think definitely no. I really think definitely no. I'm happy to try it A1, happy to try it A5. We could do a whole separate video if people are still convinced she might be good. It could be fun. I'm curious how much better she could get. Or maybe eventually in the next few days I'll get much better gear here on test server. But this is realistic gear, and this is the performance. With a decent team, with a properly meta team, you can do really well. And then when you throw a 9 there, it's a lot worse. So that is the Anai comparison to a different Infernal DPS. Let's hop back in here now. So we went from like 11K blood, right, to 19. Let's hop right back in here now. I'm going to take Elowyn out. We're going to put Vortex in. So Vortex is the healer I use for my own account for Nightmare 4 for the longest time until I got Hollow. Elowyn also would work, but I didn't have Rage Regen, so I'm used to what it feels like without Rage Regen, and I'm going to show you guys what it feels like right now. Let me throw some gear on Vortex, and we'll get into it. All right, guys, so Vortex is geared. It's a perfectly respectable build. We went Whirlwind on the left. We went Broken Set on the right. I do want to point out also, Elowyn did all that great stuff, and, you know, we were still able to get the 3 ults, even if it wasn't perfect with Pyros, and that was all without her even being in her perfectly meta artifact. We ran her in North Glory. That's from an old test I did. So we'll just run Vortex in North Glory right now. But if you ran her in like a maxed out orb or just a base orb, it would be even better, right? And the whole team could perform better. Maybe that would have made Anai look slightly less sucky, but by comparison, she still is terrible compared to Setram and what the rest of the team was able to do. What a disappointment. But now we got Vortex, so let's run the whole thing back using Vortex instead of Elowyn. And really, the damage we can look at, it's whatever. Maybe we'll break the third shield, maybe we won't. But what I do want to point out is how far away we are from getting that third trigger on the second shield of the ult between shields with what's-his-face? With Pyros, of course. And then, of course, you can also just keep an eye, if you want to rewind, you can keep a passive eye on Arrogance because he's the one with an auto ult, and you can see how much less frequently Arrogance is ulting without that huge boost of 3% rage every 3 seconds. So there's our Vortex in his build I just showed you. I can show you base stats right now. He comes up to 38.2 K HP. This is a fine build. 1.7 second interval with 360 attack, 260 additional. That's good. His rage regen's 16, so 1 above Elowyn. We build 30% rage regen percentage on him, and nearly 100. We're at 93 heal effect. Doesn't matter. He heals very comfortably, especially with his amazing shields. Let's get into this fight. We're going to keep using Setram. Why even bother with Anai? But what's really important is to focus on Pyros and his rage regen. And then after this, of course, I will show you everyone's build. So let's start. Let's get Pyros down. Let's get Hex. Let's get Setram. Let's get Sealatu. All right, that's all of our Infernals. There you go. Let's get Wrath really quickly. Let's get Dolores. All right, we'll wait and we'll trigger Pyros. Great. Now we can get Folka down, pick her up. Let's get that boost. Now we're up to 20%. Let's get Greed down, pick him up. Now the boost, we're up to 35%, as you can see. And let's get Vortex. So I'll probably just speed it up right now, and then I'll take you right before the second shield. Oh, you know what? Let's just talk you through it. I don't want to speed up because I want you to focus on Pyros. So we did the 1 early trigger. Let's see how long it takes for him to get to his next trigger. We should be able to get to the next trigger fairly comfortably. You see we did there. Let's trigger here. So we got it just in time, right? It was much closer than the other times. Ooh, can I get Hex out in time? Yes, just got him in time. We had till that 2 o'clock mark visually of that thing, right? So let's look. So before, now when we go for our second trigger with Pyros, we were getting it when like Sealatu or Hex were like around here. Let's see how much longer we have to wait now, because it's going to be a lot closer. Because we're not getting that extra rage regen boost, the extra 3% per 3 seconds from Elowyn. Look at that. Look how close this is. Look how close this is. Oh my god. Let's get to 1x. We're going to just make it. Because we want to get it before their ults expire, so we get that last boost. We just made it, right? Before it was so comfy, now we barely just made it. I'm going to go for the extra ult, right? I'm going to go for the third ult so you can see the second ult, so you can see how slow we are on the third ult. Let's trigger Vortex here. You can see his amazing shields. Vortex is so good. Here comes the first meteorite impact of phase 2. Let's wait. There's the second Infernal Roar. Let's hold. So here we go. Now we're doing only the second, not the third trigger of Pyros, and it's coming right before the second Meteorite Impact. Before, it was coming at the end of the first Infernal Roar. That's how behind we are right now. So now we're behind a bit on Setram. Setram, we like to do around right before the T and Meteorite Impact on the bar. Now we're going to get him a bit late there. Zealot and Hex aren't even ready. You see, last time Zero and Hex were waiting and waiting and waiting so they could go, we could have them triggered so they start right when the next shield goes up. They're not even ready. This is what it, so you don't see what Elowyn's doing, but when you don't have her, you feel it. I'm so used to not having Elowyn. I know what this feels like, right? Not having any rage regen. And now look, we're waiting. When are we going to get that third trigger, Pyros? When are we going to get it? Oh, we're going to get it when the shield's already gone. So before we had it perfectly lined up, maybe 4 or 5 seconds after the shield went up, this time we're a solid 15 seconds later or something. Maybe we're 2 or 3 seconds. And then if we had the orb, if we had a slightly better build, he can comfortably get 3 ults from shield 1 to shield 2. Now he could barely get his third one down before the vulnerability period was even over, right? So I'll fast forward to the end just so you can see what the damage looks like. See here, you can assess. I'm going to hold Pyros. I'm not going to be able to trigger him again. So we're not even going to get a second use of Pyros from shield 2 to shield 3. So we'll fast forward to the end just so you can see what the damage looks like. Probably we'll fast forward to shield 3. Actually, we're right at shield 3 now. I'll let it keep going just so you can see if we're actually able to take it down. Because I'm going to save up, we might be able to, but because we don't have Elowyn, Zealot and Hex are super late, it's pretty likely we won't get it. So let's see. Let's trigger. And look at these guys. They're not even ready. Come on, guys. Wake up. Not even going to get it because our ults aren't ready on our main people. We could maybe make it work if we totally adjusted our strategy, but by trying to employ the same strategy, look, less damage than the first time with Anai instead of Setram. We can take him out. And that's because we did not have Elowyn with that huge rage push. So this was, I think, illustrated even more strongly than I could have anticipated. It's really night and day. Having that huge rage boost, everything becomes comfy, everything becomes easy. You can do these aggressive stats. Without it, everything's down, right? Arrogance, look at that, because Arrogance before was ulting all the time. I think he was at about, what was he, about 18.5 or 25 the first time we did it with Anai, and then last time we went the whole fight, he was up to like 28 or something. Now he's all the way down at 13.7 because his auto ult isn't coming nearly as quickly without Elowyn. And then, yeah, we didn't even break the shield. Look at that stuff. The other heroes we used, I'll show you their builds. We'll start out with our Nightmare units. Let's sort by Nightmare and Fighter. We've got Arrogance over here, ran him in a broken set with a Whirlwind set. Let me click through the pieces. You can stop and pause. Again, we don't have the best gear in the world, but we certainly don't have the worst. 78k BP. I'll show you the total stats here. 15.7 attack interval at 1.6, nearly crit capped, and solid crit damage. It's a good build. And we have new exclusives, right? Arrogance got his new exclusive. This I thought would synergize really well with Anai. Increases damage dealt to targets inflicted with burning during the effect of Hellfire. That's his ultimate. Attacking nearby enemies will also inflict burning on them for 5 seconds. So it's really just the first part, but I thought, hey, Anai will keep heavy uptime on burning. She didn't really do anything more exceptional than Arrogance or Hex or Seala 2. So I thought it would synergize well, but the damage was still lame. There you go for our Arrogance build. He's obviously max skilled. All these guys are going to be max skilled. For Wrath, we have him over here, another noun describing kind of a sinful emotion or state of being. There's Wrath, 55.6k BP. I'll click through again. We went Broken Set and we went Warlord. There you have it. Let's check out those stats. 18.7, pretty good. Nice attack interval at 1.3, 498 attack speed. Not very good crit rate. Good crit damage. It actually shows you, I must have moved a piece. I'm shocked he had that little crit rate, and yet still he outdamaged her, right? How mind-blowing is that? For Artifact, we ran him in a Soul Drinker, I guess currently known as Lunacy Visor. Didn't need to, but it was maxed out. I figured this is the artifact I use on Wrath on my account for most content, so I figured that would translate well to other people. Let's show the rest of the heroes. Volca, I do not think is wearing gear. No, she's not. She was just there for placement. I guess I'll show you Greed just so you can see it, but he also was only there for placement. Here you go. He wasn't even leveled. You can see totally barren. He's just there for placement. That about covers it. I'll show you Pyros now and Hex, and I think that's our whole squad. You saw Setram, you saw, and I'll show you Zealot 2 as well, but you saw Setram and all that stuff. Also, speaking of Zealot 2, we went for other synergies, right? We have Zealot 2's exclusive artifact. I ran it at 0 promotion. I think that's where most people have it. Increases duration of burning effect inflicted by the hero for 3 seconds. Deals 20% more damage to targets inflicted with burning. So thought it would line up really nicely, and I mean, she did fine, but Anai certainly did not. Let's check out that gear. We went Ageless Wrath. We actually don't have a single Infernal Roar piece on this account yet. There you go. And then we went Warlord. It's a fine build, not crit capped. We're making do with what we can. Solid attack. Decent interval. It could have been a lot better. Only 115 additional attack speed. Very nice crit damage. 21% rage regen, and then of course we used our exclusive artifact. For Hex now, we did a maxed out Spirit Siphon. We nearly got a Soulbound, but we went Broken Set. You can see attack bonus, attack bonus, attack bonus. We're going for crit and crit rate. We tried to get some crit damage over here from our Annihilating Might. If we go to total stats, respectable attack actually for a Hex at 15.8. That's what happens when you go triple attack bonus. 1.2 second interval with 228 additional attack speed for a 328. Getting close to a crit cap at 88%, but not perfect. Crit damage was low, but the attack was high. 19% rage regen, and that was 190%, so 10 times more of that. If you want to do that kind of multiplication on the crit damage. There you have it on Hex, and then I believe only Pyros remains. So here is the guy. We went for a heavy rage regen build and attack speed. I'll click through very quickly. Trying to find a little bit of DPS when we could, but that wasn't the priority. You saw he put up okay damage, I guess. 12.2 over here. Very healthy 522 attack speed. So exactly the same as Anai, actually. 1.3 seconds. Getting towards 2/3 crit at 58%. Very low crit damage at 187.5. And then 60% rage regen that we built on him. That's pretty good. For an artifact, we went with a Nightmare Samsara just to try to get that rage building as much as possible. There you have it. Those are the other builds. That, I think, is a great illustration of how good Elowyn is and how bad Anai is. I really hope this was helpful. I think officially we can just call this the Elowyn banner. This is no longer the Elowyn and Anai banner. Anai, until she gets a rework or someone discovers something, or maybe we test her at super high awakenings, which is already very unattainable and very niche, I think she's like a low tier legendary. She's the kind of legendary who you pull and you're disappointed. So if you thought you were disappointed pulling Aurum instead of Setram and Boreas, imagine how people are going to feel when they pull Anai instead of Elowyn. Guys, this took me tons and tons of effort on test server. I've been on test server for 3 hours between trying things out, then actually going on the private stream, trying things out, and now filming for an hour and a half so I could get the right edits, the right cuts. I really hope you appreciate this stuff. If you appreciate it, get in the comments, let me know. Give it a like, share it with your mother, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.